Okay, so let us talk about partial differential equations. Okay, this is, I think so, the stuff that we'll be using later in the lectures. Okay, and also tutorial problems are going to be using this. So partial differential equations, right? What we have is that as far as our Black-Scholes model goes, right, it is a partial differential equation. It's a partial differential linear equation. Okay. So the thing is, these differential equations, they're basically dependent upon boundary conditions. Okay, boundary conditions means that at a particular asset value, at all times, how does the option basically change? How does the option basically depend? Okay, so this is an information that is required. Okay, in order to solve and in order to solve this these kind of equations. Okay, so these are called boundary conditions, and generally this thing is given at either s is equal to 0 or s equal to infinity. Okay, finally what we also need is how option behaves at particular times. Okay, that is for all asset values at particular times, how the option behaves, and these are called the initial or the final these are called the initial or the final conditions. For example, the final condition that is there is telling you what the payoff is, right? So this is given for as far as Black-Scholes equation goes, but only in partial differential equations what you need is you need final conditions, initial condition, and you need boundary conditions. Okay, boundary condition tells you for a particular asset value how does your particular option that is there changes all the time. That is, if it was not Black-Scholes and he wrote down some kind of an equation where the function that is there, let me call it as an option, and the variable that is there, let me call it as an asset, then generally to solve it what you need is boundary conditions as well as initial or final conditions. The boundary conditions are basically just that at one particular value how does the option vary, and the initial or the final condition is that at one particular time how does the asset value basically vary. Okay, now the thing is, the Black-Scholes equation is a linear equation. Okay, so given two solutions, the linear combinations are also a solution. You will be seeing this in the tutorial too. Okay, examples of this particular fact. Okay, now the thing is, as far as the Green's function method, okay, if you just consider one solution over here, this thing, if you take it, you plug it inside the Black-Scholes equation and work it out, you will see that this equation that is there is basically a solution of the Black-Scholes equation. Okay, the thing about this equation is that this thing is true for all values of s prime. For all values of s prime, this thing will satisfy the Black-Scholes equation. Okay, what is so special about this particular term is that when t is equal to big T, then the option that is there is basically going to this particular value, this particular number, that is this particular function that is there is going to be approaching a delta function. Okay, so that's why this Vg that is there is called the Green's function. Okay, that is generally the name that is given for it. Okay, and what we have is that in case what we have is that this thing is one condition as far as this particular this particular solution goes. When you put t is equal to big T, it is a delta function of s minus s prime. Next, because the Black-Scholes equation is linear, any linear combination of solutions is also a solution. So any random linear combination, if I'm writing it, let me just get rid of okay, there is just one ds prime over here, just note that any linear combination of solution, this is a solution for any particular value of s prime, I multiplied by fs prime and then integrate over all possible values of s prime, that thing will also be a solution. So this is also a solution. Okay, now the thing is, let us use this particular condition that we have, that t is equal to big T, this becomes a delta function. So the thing is, when t is equal to big T, this becomes a delta function. Okay, that implies, and when t is equal to big T that we have, this is basically the payoff, right? If you are looking at this, when small t is equal to big T, that gives you the final condition on that option, and the final condition basically says this thing should equal to the payoff function, right? Also, at t is equal to big T, this is the delta function, delta of s minus s prime. So this integral is going to give you fs. Okay, so what I have is, I know that this thing is supposed to be the payoff function. Okay, also I know that this integral that is there is supposed to be equal to fs. That means fs that is there over here has to be the payoff function that you're going to be utilizing. The solution is the payoff function. Okay, so this is what we have. We are having that the solution, a general solution of the Black-Scholes equation is this kind of a function with no, not the general solution, the only solution given the payoff function is that you take the payoff, you put it over here, you integrate, you're going to get a solution of the Black-Scholes equation, okay, given the particular payoff. Okay, now what we can do is, in case I had the Black-Scholes equation, I had a particular option value, I define a new parameter, I define a new function u, which is x and tau, okay, and then there's an x and tau over here, okay, and then there are certain things like s that is there, let me call it to be e raised to x, that is how I'm defining x. T that is there, let me define to be equal to big T minus 2 tau divided by sigma squared, okay. So because of that, once I make this particular substitutions and I think I get this kind of a formula, okay, that is I take the v, okay, I plug in s, whatever value of v I have, I plug in s is e raised to x, I plug t as big T minus 2 t by sigma squared, okay, and then afterwards I look at the whatever I get excluding this particular terms, okay, then this whatever I get that is there solves this equation. This thing had to be a tau, okay. So let me just write it down. Just a sec. Okay, so what you have is this particular expression, delta is equal to this, okay. So this is what we did. All you do is substitute s is equal to e raised to x, t is equal to this thing inside this, remove out this particular term, okay, get what the u is. The u is going to satisfy this thing, okay. You'll be utilizing this more in the course. The thing is, in case I'm given a diffusion equation, okay, as you can see, u is dependent on two parameters x and t, okay. The thing is, if I like write down this expression, okay, exponential of minus eta squared d eta, but I'm integrating from 0 x to t 1 t raised to 1 half, I get that it will satisfy this expression, okay. So what it basically tells you is that the equation that is there, okay, even though it's dependent on two variables, we can see that you could also get a solution where it the dependence is just on this one variable, that is this ratio, okay. So you can construct solutions where you're basically having this ratio, okay. So this thing is called a similarity reduction. You could construct solution where this thing is a solution, okay. The thing is, you could also see that with your this is also another special solution that you can construct, where there is that x raised to t raised to 1 half, your favorite variable, and then there is a t raised to minus 1 half if it's an exponential like this. Then this thing is also a solution, okay. The reason you're doing this is, in case you can construct, instead in case you can choose a proper combination of variables, then the quest for finding the final solution turns out to be much more easier, okay. So that is the reason that the similarity transformations reductions are useful, and they will be shown to be useful in the future chapters.